a tremendous number of people do come to me and say, "Oh, I think my parent was a narcissist, and I've learned this, and this happened and this happened." And I always say, did you ever go, or have you ever gone to them and talk to them about some of the feelings you have, and say, "Hey, Dad, do you love me? Hey, I didn't see or I didn't feel it, but it doesn't mean that you didn't love me. What was your experience?" And when they do that, what they often do, if their parent, is a decent person, their parent will share that experience and say, "I had no idea you felt this. I had no idea you wanted that. I had no idea." And it's this huge healing moment. If I can dig a little bit and go personal a little bit, it sounds like your son's coming to you. He's talking to you. He's aware of your diagnosis. He's aware of the challenges that you experience as a man, and that's cool. I love that. Have you ever gone to him proactively and been like, "Hey, you know what? I hate that it feels weird to hug, and I hate that you grew up with this stuff. What can we do going forward?" Do you have those conversations with him?
So I've been more apt to have those conversations with him now than I would at the beginning of my therapy journey. At the beginning of my personal development awareness journey, because I just got to the point where I didn't want my sons to be like me, and didn't want my daughter to end up with somebody like me. So I was just like, and my therapist is like, "Well, guess what? You got to change," because you can tell them all you want to. They watching you. They
Oh,
got
they
their
do.
eyes on you, so you have to change your behaviors if that's your goal, and whatnot. And they say, my mom, she worked second shift, so she was, my mom did everything she could. My dad, he was around, but he was like hyper focused on making more kids and having kids that he wasn't 100% involved with. But but like you just said, going to your kids and talking to them, and like, so I have done that with my kids, but I just feel like trying to have that conversation with my dad would be extremely tough, because we friends on Facebook. We go back and forth and joke a little bit here and there, but he was super neglectful when we were growing up. Like, he just wasn't there. Like, he lived with my grandma for a long time, so when we would go see grandma, he would be there. So it's just like, oh, grandma watching us, but dad is here too. So it's kind of weird, but he would be disconnected so much. And it helped me just in my therapy journey. I was talking to my therapist about this, like, she said something about my dad, and my emotions just switched. She's like, "You see how angry you just got?" She's like, "You hate people having control over you, right?" I'm like, "Yes, I really do." She's like, "Your dad has control over you because you get angry when you talk about him." And I was like, okay. So what I need to do to get rid of it? How do I get my control back? She was like, it could help to find out why he is the way he is. So I don't talk to him as much. So I'm just on the couch one day, and I got on ancestry.com, and I just started building my family tree backwards. Because I knew my grandma, because he lived with her, right? But I never knew my grandpa. I would see pictures of him up and stuff like that. I just know he died when my dad was younger. But on ancestry.com, it gives you hints. It gave me like a little hint. It's like, "Oh, this is," his name was James Chandler. Like, James Chandler, we found him. And I was like, "Okay." I was like, my grandpa's name. I was like, "That's cool." But the only picture it had of him was his death certificate. And it was just like, it said the date, the time, and everything. It was like, calls, small caliber gunshot wound to the head. So he went in the bathroom and shot himself. You know, at 5:30 on a Monday morning, he decided to get up and go shoot himself in the head. And my dad found him, and that's what traumatized him as a kid. So that's what led to him being a neglectful, a disconnected adult. So that helped release a lot of the stuff that I had, a lot of the animosity that I had towards him. But understanding how he was raised, and it was just, I can't, just this in his 60s or 70s when he found him. So there's no therapy for a little boy back in the day. Just like, oh, it's Monday. You back to school on Wednesday or Thursday.
Man, that right there. I've worked in mental health for 15 years now, and men's mental health is so crucial for this piece right here. People always ask me, "Oh, how did somebody get narcissistic, or how did someone get avoidant, or why don't they connect?" That right there, like, you're a kid, you walk in, your dad is depressed and unhappy anyway. You grow up and maybe you don't understand even how to connect to somebody. Then he kills himself, and you find him dead. And the kid, like, your world goes like inside out. Everything turns dark, and you have to survive. And that clicks on that survival mode. The avoidant attachment is a hardcore survival mode for an awful world where no one's going to keep you safe. So your dad went hardcore survival, extreme, and never came out of it. And what he's going to do is he's going to lever arbitrary rules on you. He's not going to make you feel safe. You're not going to get your connection. And that lack of the bonding hormone oxytocin is going to hit you as a kid. You won't even get that. And then there's vasopressin bonding that men, we have to initiate fathers and sons into bonding through vasopressin, and it's a whole initiation ritual. That's why we have male initiation rites throughout human history. All of that is missing from father to son and father to son, and then there's you reclaiming that with your son and building that back in so that he can go forward and build it better with his son. That right there is the transmission of from bad to worse, but then back to good. You're that middle. You're the one that said absolutely not. This is not going to continue this way. We're
this
going
ends
better.
with me.
This ends with me, and it's getting better here. I love that. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I personally really respect that as well, because one thing that I also wanted to note in the story that we have about your kids, what was going on was the idea that you are not only trying to figure out, your situation, your behaviors, but you're also monitoring your emotional state. You're trying not to get angry. You're actually trying to control yourself. Kids really notice that. Like, you can sit there through a birthday party and whatnot and spend the 2 hours, 3 hours playing pony. But if you're seething, if you're just angry the whole time, they don't care. They get freaked out by your emotional state. This is the hardest part of fixing yourself. You can lie to almost anybody out there, but you cannot lie to a kid. They do not have the neural processing power to understand your words and differentiate them from your state. They cannot make excuses for you. So the fact that you're able to go in and you're able to control that mental state and change the mental state is very powerful. How did you go about doing that? Because your dad, probably wasn't able to do that. He hid that pain in him the whole time. You did not. What was the change?
It's just because a lot of it stemmed from me not wanting to be like him. It's just like, well, I don't want to be like him, so I have to be better than him. How can I be better than him? So, I started working on it, trying to connect to my kids better, and things like that. But it does take practice overall. Just like Adam said, being intentional with it. Like even this morning, I have an example. This morning, like I get up at like 5:45. I'm doing I have a coaching call early. Then I had to get my 7-year-old up for school. He just, he did not want to get up today. Today was one of the rough days, and I finally kind of dragged him out of bed. I was like, "Go ahead and use the bathroom before you put your clothes on." He got up and stomped out the room and he smacked his toys out in the ground, and I just instant rage. I was like, oh. I was like, oh. I had to take a deep breath. I was like, what is this? I have to ask myself, because that's what I've started doing, is kind of like a little short breath work. Take a deep breath and what is he going to accomplish by yelling at him this morning? He's going to have a bad day. I'm gonna have a bad day. I'm going to get whatever I want. I'm going to get because he's scared. He's going to be scared. He's going to do what I say because I'm yelling at him. I mean, he's going to be in a petrified state, but he's going to do it. So I'm just like, you know what? I know it's early. It's really early. It's cool to be angry sometimes. You get up in the morning, but we got to chill with the hitting stuff. And then 2 minutes later, he was up running around, putting stuff on, ready for some cereal and stuff. I was like, I had to pat myself on the back. My wife, she sees that she's cool. She's like, that's normal. That's why I had to learn how to kind of self-celebrate, because that's normal for other people. That's me going above and beyond just my natural reaction. So I have to pat myself on the back. I have to celebrate the small victories. I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of me for not reacting how I could have reacted.
If you like this clip, I know you're going to enjoy the full episode. You can watch it right here.